well, let me use another analogy before I get to that. If me and 15 chat niggas get caught up in a RICO, hopefully we don't, right? It's a reason why it's a conflict of interest for your lawyer to be a lawyer of someone else. Why is it a conflict of interest? Because at a certain point, they might have to enter into a proffer status or whatever with the government that now you have to pick whose interest you're prioritizing.
Did Akademiks really bring up a RICO angle while talking about Wack 100 and Blueface's contract? Listen, this situation has been getting real messy between Wack 100 and DJ Akademiks, and it's been heading this way for a minute. Ever since Akademiks started advising Blueface and stepping into the beef, things started shifting fast. Now Akademiks is pushing this story about a bad contract, claiming Wack was double dipping and confusing Blueface into thinking he was signed to another company while still being under Wack 100 the whole time. Not once, but twice, according to him. That's where the tension really picked up, and since then, the relationship between Wack and Akademiks has been shaky at best. At this point, it looks like Akademiks is slowly turning the pressure up, possibly even hinting at federal involvement aimed at Michael Roy Jones Cash, better known as Wack 100. People are saying Akademiks is playing chess, trying to protect himself if things go too far. Deep down, some feel Akademiks is uneasy around Wack, and this could be his way of creating an exit before anything fully crashes out. Run it back for a second, because Akademiks is clearly going all in on Wack 100 right now. The gloves are officially off, and whatever relationship they had looks done. These two have been connected for almost 7 years, moving in the same circles and even overlapping around the same people. But now everything is sliding downhill fast. Akademiks is openly floating RICO talk, and the way he's saying it sounds reckless and calculated at the same time. What makes it wild is Akademiks talking like he's cleaning his hands while also throwing shots at Wack in the same breath. He jumps straight into content mode, telling people to hit the hype button and pushing the narrative forward like it's entertainment first. Then he turns around saying he wants to clean things up and give Wack a chance to explain, which sounds more like damage control than peace.
Okay. Now, before I address and kind of like, not necessarily clean up what I meant or really fully explain, I do want to give Wack 100 the opportunity, and he did respond.
At the same time, Akademiks is clearly irritated over the Blueface situation, and it feels like that's what's fueling all this extra talk. People are saying he's being messy, oversharing, and having public moments that end up burning bridges with people he once called allies. Whatever this is, it doesn't look calm or strategic anymore, and it's starting to look like a full meltdown playing out in real time. So now Wack 100 steps in and starts doing damage control, because clearly there were conversations happening behind the scenes about how this play was moving. The focus is on how Akademiks was running with the Blueface contract talk, so Wack decides to clear things up and put names on it. The deal in question points straight to 10K Projects, run by Elliot Grange, the son of Lucian Grange. A lot of people didn't even know this connection, and for some, this was brand new info. Once that came out, things started lining up. Tekashi 699 was also tied to 10K Projects at one point, so Akademiks being close to Elliot Grange suddenly makes more sense to people watching from the outside. That connection didn't come out of nowhere, and now folks are starting to read between the lines.
He responded here. Was it here?
Akademiks claims that you've been stealing money from Blueface.
Yeah, I got on his ass about that. That was crazy.
So for the record, he said since Blueface is signed to you on a music level and managed by you, that means that you're essentially taking like half of his money.
Here's the thing with Akademiks. When I talked to him, I said, have you ever done a contract with anybody musically?
Wack never said that to me, and I absolutely have. I literally have a joint venture, just like I have a joint venture with the Academy Records. It falls under 10K. Used to be under Capitol, and now they sent me notice they're under Atlantic or AMG, okay, which is a newly formed thing. Elliot, which is the son of Lucian Grange. The deal I did was with the son of Lucian Grange, which is Elliot Grange. It's on 10K Projects.
Here's where it gets messy though. Wack is basically saying Akademiks was talking reckless, putting business out there while pretending it was just part of the Blueface beef. Instead of keeping things solid, Akademiks aired out a play he wasn't supposed to touch. That's what got Wack heated, because now it makes him look wild in public. All because someone decided to talk too much in the moment.
It's there. I'm signed to my own label, right? Which literally I had to sign that myself, and also I signed another person as well, and also I've offered contracts as well. But that's neither here nor there. Would I say I have more experience in Wack with doing contracts and stuff like that? I would say no, because Wack has worked with a lot more people, clearly.
No, I said, what are you talking about? Well, I'm looking at Finesse. Finesse's contract, he got 4 or 5 people. I would never allow that to happen with none of my clients, because I know too many direct people.
But who is it? It's
Bag Yo.
Oh, so he originally signed
Mob Ties.
and then Mob Ties.
JPE, which is the dad. You got Atlantic as the mother company. So that's 4. And then him. You see what I'm saying? So his 20% is really probably 20% of a 40%, which is really like 8%. This is where Act gets shut down at. He said Blueface is signed to me, right? Blueface was signed to Cash Money West. Cash Money West is owned by who?
Birdman.
I just oversee that division. So what the fuck are you talking about?
Akademiks claims
The reason why Wack is really good is that he has a way with words, like any great media personality is. That's why I think he's one of the top media personalities. I want to make some corrections to what he's saying.
Then Akademiks starts drifting into that federal talk, and we'll get to why that matters in a second. Everyone already saw the preview, so let's keep it moving. He's basically saying you and a whole group around you could still be facing serious legal heat, and he's presenting it like casual conversation. He mixes legal language with street talk, acting calm, but the message underneath is loud and clear. All of this feels like damage control wrapped in a warning. On the surface, it sounds like he's trying to make it seem like there's no real issue between him and Wack, but the tension is obvious. He already put business out there that could affect Wack's money, whether it was intentional or not.
It also probably helped clearing up what I was saying. I don't know the full details of the business between Wack 100 and Blueface. Anything I'm saying it in general, even though based on what we've heard publicly from Blueface's own mouth on interviews and even recently, it feels like what I said matched up with what was going on. I don't have the contracts. I haven't looked at Blueface's stuff, so I'm going off of what they have said publicly, what we perceive, and how that should be interpreted. Here's the very premise. The premise is this. If I do a contract, like put it like this, this happened with the Offset like QC thing. It's a reason why, well, let me use another analogy before I get to that. If me and 15 chat niggas get caught up in a RICO, hopefully we don't, right? It's a reason why it's a conflict of interest for your lawyer to be a lawyer of someone else. Why is it a conflict of interest? Because at a certain point, they might have to enter into a proffer status or whatever with the government, that now you have to pick whose interest you're prioritizing. It's a conflict of interest for someone else. That's why people have separate attorneys. By the way, it's the reason why a judge would get recused in many situations. If a judge, who many judges used to be prosecutors and also had private practices as defense attorneys, if a judge previously, and by the way, I thought this helped out on YSL Mondo, Fonnie Willis previously represented YSL Mondo, who's self-acknowledged as a co-founder of YSL, when she was doing private practice in between one of her prosecutorial gigs, and she represented him for a gun case. Clearly, who knows how that representation went? She may have had a lot of knowledge from attorney-client privilege. Now, because she represented him, it would be unethical of her to then prosecute him, given the fact that she also has information that it should be only between them. Now, technically, that should be a thing, but what would normally happen is that prosecutor would recuse himself. Doesn't mean that YSL Mondo could never be charged. No. What it means is that to not have a conflict of interest, you don't want someone who previously was with you to be prosecuting you, because now it puts you in a disadvantaged position.
By talking contracts and plays, he ends up putting Blueface on game while exposing things that were never meant to be public. Now it looks like Akademiks is trying to walk it back. He's cleaning it up, sounding careful, almost like he's protecting himself, while still hinting that higher level attention could come into play. The message feels two-sided. Calm things down with me, but remember how serious this could get. That's the energy right now, and it's hard to miss. If you really sit back and connect the dots, the math starts doing itself. I'm just saying. And yeah, make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already, because we're keeping this content rolling. This whole situation is nasty work, no doubt about it, and that's just being honest. Let's be real though, the music industry has always been grimy. That part isn't new. There's endless proof of people getting taken advantage of, deals going sideways, and artists getting played. It's a shark tank. Once you step into music or entertainment, especially at the corporate level, it's cutthroat by default. If someone sees you're not sharp or not up on game, they'll spin you in circles without thinking twice. But here's the real issue. If you're supposed to be Wack's friend, this information never should have gone public. Period. If both sides got dirt, then that's private business. Putting it out in the open just makes everyone look bad. Nobody comes out clean in this, and nobody looks better than the other.
So whether it's a judge that used to be an attorney that represented you, or a prosecutor that used to be a defense attorney that represented you, those people would what they call recuse themselves. It's a conflict of interest. In business, if I'm trying to sign someone, like I was trying to, and I eventually did, I successfully signed someone to the Academy Records back then. You know, they wanted to use my lawyer. My lawyer helped me get the deal. My lawyer got 5% of my overall deal for the Academy Records. He is incentivized to make sure me, who's going to be the guy who's signing a bunch of people, I got the budget, I'm the guy. He wants me to get the most of money because he's going to get the most of money, right? So it wouldn't be ethical if I am signing a young kid and I said to the kid, you need a lawyer, but use my lawyer. That lawyer's not going to go in there and say, hey, let me get the deal really in the favor of this guy when I'm already eating with Ack over here. He's just going to get me the best deal. Do you understand? It's a conflict of interest. It's a pretty simple thing to acknowledge. Here was my understanding of what Blueface contract and situation was, right? And Wack does a really sleight of hand right here, and I want to point it out.
What is it? It's
Money bag, yo.
Oh.
Contract.
Here we go.
Anybody, music.
His money.
Here's the thing with Akademiks. When I talked to him, I said, have you ever done a contract with anybody musically? No. I said, what are you talking about? Well, I'm looking at finesse. Finesse.
Now, even though the conversation that I had stemmed from finesse, I was talking about a particular part. It's not about the 5 people in the contract. James Prince, the father's, James Prince Sr., he's listed in the contract, but really he's a manager. It becomes a conflict of interest. That's where I got this idea of conflict of interest. If he's supposed to be managed by the father, but signed to the son, why in the contract does the father, who is quote unquote going to be that's already a conflict of interest. You're managed by the father of the nigga you're signed to. Come on, like these are like kind of simple things, right? Like we're not like we don't got to be Aristotle or something, right? But whatever. Let's say that happens. When reading the contract, the father was also included as someone that was going to take percentage. Well, to me, that's double dipping.
All that behind the scenes mess should have stayed behind the scenes, not blasted out for the world to dissect. Just because you're beefing with Blueface doesn't mean you get to air out another man's business, especially if you're supposed to be cool with him. If that's really your guy, why is this information even being put out in public? It starts looking like you're trying to incriminate something, ruin a play, or hit Wack where it hurts financially. That's the part people are side-eyeing right now. But hey, that's just my take. What do y'all think? Drop a comment and let's keep it moving. This is still nasty work because you don't even know the full details, yet you're throwing business out there that was never meant to be public. This wasn't public info until you made it public, just to make someone look wild in the moment. It also shows a lack of boundaries. When it comes to talking, nothing seems off limits. If the moment hits, anything can come out, and that's how bridges get burned fast. People always say when someone gets loose, the truth spills, and that's how situations spiral. At this point, it feels like things are only going to get uglier from here. A real clash between Wack and Akademiks feels inevitable, and it looks like it's coming sooner rather than later. This is nasty work, plain and simple. How are people not seeing this as snake behavior? Akademiks is straight up doing expose-style talk on Wack, putting his business in the open. Yeah, if what's being said is true, it sounds unethical, but the real issue is how it's being blasted to the public.
How are you the manager? And how are you also in the contract as the person that will be getting some type of proceeds from the music as if you were a label or, and this is the important part, a production company? Now, I'm going to explain to you a little bit of music shit because Wack is going to overtalk it right here. Listen to Wack.
His contract, he got 4 or 5 people. I would never allow that to happen with.
Okay, so I explained that part already, right? It's not about necessarily the amount of people. It's that some people are doing 2 different roles, but they're all claiming percentage. That's a problem.
But none of my clients, because I know too many direct people.
But who is it? It's
and also the problem, even if you're saying, because somebody could make they could make the argument to say, well, JPE, which is James Prince Entertainment, he's in the contract because, you know, he's gonna do management stuff, but he's just getting his money from the label. Well, no, you could do a letter of direction, and even then, that still piggybacks the artist, because you're saying that you have now signed a manager for the duration of your record deal. That seems more than a manager. That seems like a partner. A manager you should be able to fire whenever you want to fire him based on whatever deal you have. Now maybe that includes, hey, you're going to be my manager for this entire record deal. Okay, cool, if that's what you want. But if your manager is baked in your deal that even if he's not working, he still gets paid, that seems like a partner, not a manager. Manager gets 20% off the top when he does services for you. But if your music does well, you know, and you had this deal, and whatever that comes from this deal, if he just gets paid no matter what, that sounds like a partner or an investor. But again, I'm trying to show you the sleight of hand of, you know, Wack speaking as if people don't understand, like the music industry is so complicated.
Money Bag Yo.
Oh, so he originally signed
Mob Ties.
and then Mob Ties.
JPE, which is the dad. You got Atlantic as the mother company. So that's 4. And then him. You see what I'm saying? So his 20% is really probably 20% of a 40.
Okay, and this is where Wack does the talking. You know, when Wack starts doing this shit, like, well, he got to be right.
Percent, which is really,
and he's kind of right here about finesse.
they like 8%. This
But now the conversation comes back to him and Blueface.
is where Act gets shut down at. He said Blueface is signed to me, right? Blueface was signed to Cash Money West.
Okay. Now, this is, you know, I'll acknowledge I don't know the full details or all the intricacies of his business, but I'm going off what I always heard Wack say.
This didn't stay behind closed doors. Akademiks made sure everyone could see it. What's wild is how this flipped. It started as beef with Blueface, and now it's turned into, Wack, I'm exposing you for sneaking Blueface and running bad business. Accusations of double dipping, shady practices, and then throwing RICO talk on top of it, that's a heavy switch up. That's not regular beef anymore. That's going for someone's livelihood. The big question is how Wack handles this. All the damage control, all the tough talk on podcasts, none of that really protects you from what Akademiks is putting out right now. The point has already been made, and the narrative is out there. And let's be clear, Akademiks isn't clean either. He's got his own history and plenty of skeletons. Trying to drag Blueface ended up circling back and landing on Wack instead.
So Cash Money West is Birdman's company, right? That's kind of ran or overseen by Wack 100, or was, I don't know if currently. But just like how Atlantic, Uzi's quote-unquote technically signed to, Uzi's really signed to Generation Now. That's called a production company. Wack 100 is leaving out a step. Yeah, Blueface is signed to Cash Money West, but my understanding is that he's signed to Cash Money West through 100 ENT, which is Wack's production company. So technically, Blueface is signed to you, and you signed his rights to Cash Money. Now, I could be wrong. I haven't seen his contract. And, you know, shit, you want me to go back on my trusted site? I could go back on my trusted site and pull up Blueface's name, right? We could pull up his name and, you know, give me 1 second. I don't know. Let me go find some tracks. Hold on. I'll put it on screen when I find. What was like his biggest track? Is it like... Okay. Here we go with this. Why does it say record label unavailable? All right, it's all good.
Come on.
What I'm going to do is let me do... So when I go to Spotify and let's go to Blueface.
Come on, champ.
This is going to, you know, they usually are accurate and will print wherever it's coming through, which you can figure out label information there, right? So I don't know. His latest single is called Vibes, right? Vibes. Rich the Kid, DDG, and Blueface. I don't think this is... I think this is Rich the Kid's song, low key. What's the last... I want to see the last Blueface solo song to be able to see. Better featuring Stunner Girl. Okay, let's look at that. Now, you see what you see right here that says 2026 100 ENT? That's what Spotify is acknowledging the label to be. So when they're going to pay out for this song, even though it's only 142,000 views, they're going to pay 100 ENT. That's Wack 100's company. Now, granted, from what I'm hearing and kind of like, you know, I'm kind of figuring it out, it doesn't seem like Cash Money is in the picture anymore. So I get it. Now the production company stands alone. So it's just through Wack, right? Now, but right now, you know, and this would be my argument to Wack. Your last song is dropped through a quote-unquote record label that you own. How are you not his label? He could just upload this to TuneCore without you.
Now, this isn't just Blueface versus Akademiks anymore. This is Wack 100 versus Akademiks, and it's officially on. Now, it looks like there's no turning back. Faces are out the picture, lines are drawn, and this situation is only getting wilder. What's really next in this beef? Because right now it feels like Akademiks is ready to take things way further, even playing with the idea of bringing serious heat into it. That's where this stops being regular drama and starts looking dangerous. So what do y'all think happens next? Are we about to see a full meltdown between Akademiks and Wack 100? Is this going to explode in public, or does someone pull back before it goes too far? Messing with someone's money, especially someone you once called a friend, is a different level of grimy. Nobody's clean here, nobody's better than the other, so why drag it this far? Before you dip, make sure you subscribe to Dripzine, like this video, share it, and drop your thoughts in the comments. If you want to help a small creator grow, hit that hype. This video button too, it really helps the channel move forward. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me.